There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's August 10th, and this is the meeting of the Sewer Commission. It is now 6:03. We're going to start our meeting. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be available to be found on Lunenburg Access Channel TV after the meeting. The following information is provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting. To participate remotely or for a computer, please use the link from the public meeting web bar. As a primary matter, my name is Dave McDonald, Chairman of the Sewer Commission. I will do a roll call to confirm that all members and persons on the agenda are present to hear and they can hear me. Mike Knoll.
Present.
Mike Devakis is on vacation this week and won't be joining us. Brett Ramsden should be joining us soon. John Reynolds.
Here.
Rob Oliver.
Here.
Bob LaFave.
Here.
Jane Rainley. Hey, Jane. At our last meeting, for those who don't remember, we adopted, starting now, the Pledge of Allegiance for all our meetings from the Sewer Commission. So because we are Zoom, Bob came up with a nice way to do it and professional way to do it. So Bob, we'll hand it to you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the
of
United
the United
States
States
of
of
America,
America.
to the republic
for which it stands,
Which it stands.
one
One
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God.
indivisible,
Indivisible.
with justice and
Just
justice for all.
Very nice, Bob. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to place the meeting to order. We do have a quorum with the three of us. First thing I'd like to do is, are there any public comment? I'm seeing none. Barb, do you see any? Any public comment from the board?
No.
Mike,
Nope, good.
John, John,
No,
announcements. Barb, do you have any announcements?
Don't. Just, I guess maybe that the grease trap permit renewals were sent out and are due by August 25th for any one of our food service establishments that might be listening. If you haven't gotten it, please call the office.
Okay. Next one is current business on Pondview Commons LLC, Howard Street for 40B. Before we get into it, I just want you to know that I did represent the Sewer Commission at the walkthrough on site. There was also a meeting last week, was a week from today, I think, last Tuesday, with Adam at the meeting, which Barbara attended, and we'll let Barbara go from there.
All right. Well, I sent everybody the handouts that were provided at the site walk. And I also sent a link to the 40B workshop that was last week, which was very helpful, I thought, by Adam Costa. Comments, Rob just advised today that the comments have to be to the selectmen by the 23rd of August, so before our next meeting. And Mr. Chairman, if you approve, I'll put up a screen of the comments that between Rob and I we have come up with so far.
Yeah.
And they're not pretty and official. This is just thoughts. So
Before we do that, I just want to make it clear that when we went to the meeting, and everyone has the floor plan or the plot plan. I sent it out the other day and kind of looks like that. This is the only thing that we're worried about is this area, this 40B, how we're going to get sewer, utilities, and so on to this site. Has nothing to do with anything else, just this. Okay. And it's how many acres it was. Do you guys remember how many acres this property is? Was it 4 acres or something? I forgot what it was.
I don't
As you
remember.
can see, the entrance is right off of, was it Howard Street? It goes right up to the site. So this is the only thing we're talking about. There is no information yet as far as engineer drawings or stuff like that. Right now, the only thing they're doing is trying to see if it gets approved. And Bob, let me know if I'm misspeaking anywhere along the way.
Okay.
You do have their metrics. You got that definition of how many apartments, how many bedrooms, and so on. That's pretty accurate from what they told us. So after that, I will go with you.
And I just did confirm 18.5 acres.
18 acres, okay.
Yep. All right, so let me just bring it up. All right. So this is what we just have so far. If you want to read through it, or you want me to read through it, or Dave, you want to read through it?
I think if you guys, if we just go through real quick, and Mike and John, if you could just look at it. Again, this is in the very early stages. And for the people at home, feel free to also read it. I don't know if you can blow it up one more notch.
Oop, wrong way, Jackson.
Need stronger glasses, Bob.
There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
And we
You
can-
know when you want
we
me
can
to.
scroll down if you're going too fast, somebody just say so.
Oh, hello. Where? Come on, why do you do these things? Why does it do these things?
Bob, just let me know. I'll come rescue you if you need it.
I know, I cannot get it to. How do I get it back? Sorry, guys.
I think it's back on my side.
Let me stop share for a second here. Get it to come. I also do not like that I work on a laptop for this because it's not my normal thing. Oh, sorry. All right, gents and ladies, there we go. Try it again. Okay.
So we're at additional comments.
Yep. Problem is the Zoom box for me is over all the the arrows and stuff. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's all
Anyway,
I
there
mean,
you go.
if you can send it out to us, that would be great too.
Yeah. And that's the end of it, just these two. And again, it's just in thought mode.
I do have one question here. Item where it says not in SSA should require town meeting vote.
Yeah,
If-
that's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that was my question.
Yeah, no, and
It would be mandated, I assume.
yes, but as I think and this is just my own opinion. My thought was just to give the zoning board all of our reasons why we feel like we shouldn't have this happen.
Right, no, I think it should be on there.
Right.
Uh,
No, I know.
But the question that I would ask would probably be that if and again, we brought this up on the site visit. If sewer goes to his project located at the top of Howard Street, he wants to build another 120 houses after that. That is not part of the program. Ours would only be for the 40B only, blah, blah, blah. If he wanted to go to sewer those other 120 houses, it would have to go through town meeting vote. It would have to extend the district. But as far as us, when we were there, we asked the questions that if it goes through, if it's going to be sewered, we want to make sure that anybody's houses that goes by has the opportunity to tie in, which everybody agreed with that. So again, what you see at the site and what's legally at the end of the day are going to be two different things. So we just want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. At the end of the day, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you one thing: I do not and will not want to fluff this and make it look like that is impossible, because they're not stupid either. I mean, we got to come up with legitimate costs and legitimate reasons why, and not just make them up. So this is a good way to start. But again, financially for all our customers, I agree, Barb and Rob, that we should go to Leominster, not to Fitchburg. So I mean, that's something we have to take a look at. this bill will be totally on the client who's doing the 40B. It won't be from the town of Lunenburg, just so you know. So we got a long way to go, but I think these questions, and I'm going to ask you guys is to think about what else are we missing? You know, and I think Bob and Rob did a pretty good job here so far. But what about after? What happens to the sewer system after it's been installed? So you have that area. Does that become part of the town? Can we expand on that? I mean, there's a lot of things that we gotta ask ourselves. So to expedite some of this, Bob, if you can send us that list you have so far. And I'm just gonna ask you guys to take a look at it, add any comments to it, and just send it back to Barb. But this is not gonna be cheap, I mean, by any means. Now, there is no engineer drawings yet. This has, I think, and Rob, let me know with your experience, but the way I understand it is that we're just going right now for the approval, if it would be even feasible to be done. So that's just the first phase. So,
Yeah, that's correct. Once they have that, they'll start moving forward with studies and engineer drawings. And then it gets submitted, goes to the zoning board when it does go in for approval.
so there's a long way to go on this. And like Barbara said, the meeting, the question's gonna be given before our next meeting. So we can just get the questions thrown in there. And like I said, I got a couple more, Bob, but I think if you send that out to the full board, Mike and Brett will get you everything by next Tuesday. So any questions on that, Mike?
I think it's a good start. I mean, my take is, you know, you can almost anticipate, obviously, that they're gonna want to include future development into that on their part, those 120 homes. I mean, obviously, I know it's got to go, you know, AB. And the only other thing that comes to mind, I'm not sure what the extra cost is to go to Leominster, but I guess my comment would be Leominster is cheaper at the moment or less expensive at this time frame in this period of time. So we got to keep an eye on that also, I'd say, but it's a very good start. Yes.
Well, the other thing you gotta look at too is flows. I mean, this is totally new, so I like to renegotiate the IMAs with Fitchburg and Leominster to increase these flows, because this was never planned as part of the IMA, and I know we're up against a new one with Leominster coming up. I mean, I'm sure that's gonna be an interesting negotiation. But have you guys looked into Townsend? Does Townsend have a sewer district at all?
Townsend has no sewer.
Okay, so, I mean, that was the other avenue we could have was tied into Townsend's, but it's nowhere close.
Refresh my memory. Does Leominster or Fitchburg, are they aware that there's a potential 40B going in that's going to require? Are they just aware of the project at this point in time?
Not from this office, anyway.
Okay.
I mean, we could advise them. I really want to make sure we get the questions in first. But I mean, Barbara, if you want to send a letter saying that we're working on this. But I don't know how the negotiations will work if we have to go to Leominster. Now, from what I understand, we do have flows in Leominster. But what about our existing customers who've been dedicated to us for all this time? You know, you got 200 houses or 200 apartments with 117 of them being 2-bedroom. You know, that's quite a bit of flow, you know, just on that. And you got another 3 bedrooms of 24 units and 1 bedroom of 59. So just based on that alone, you know, that's something that we have to take a look at. But again, we don't have the flows and all the engineering stuff. Primarily is just preparing ourselves.
I think,
Go ahead.
I think John does pose a good question. I guess what comes to mind, and I'm not sure of this answer, does either town have to accept the extra flow?
Well, that's another good question too.
So
Yeah.
for other words, if the chapter 40 gets approved, and all of a sudden, you know, oh no, you're not coming our way with that, or,
Right.
I mean, just saying, I mean, I know it's dollars and cents, but just asking the question.
I think we asked that question, like what happens? And the lawyer for Massachusetts said they would have to take, if I'm not mistaken, is that right, Barb?
Well, the lawyer had said that because we have IMAs, that 40Bs do not have any sway over contracts. It has to do with town departments, commissions, but it does not, it can't void a contract that the town holds with other towns. So the IMA may be our, opening to say, can't do this with them. And plus they, not only they have to approve and have the capacity, they have to approve all the plans. So they're not just dealing with Lunenburg. They would be dealing with either Leominster or Fitchburg, depending on the flow. So,
And if we go to Leominster, for example, again, what would be the best way to go? What's the pump stations? I don't know if he has a budget, and I saw the budget, and I don't think that's realistic. I think his infrastructure number was what, $7 million for water and sewer, and I don't know if that's correct or not, but those are some of the numbers we saw. But you know what? It doesn't. We don't care about speculation. We just want to give them facts.
yeah, and for that reason, I'd hold off possibly because I don't want to alert Fitchburg and decide it's going to Leominster or vice versa, or the 40B falls apart. So
Yeah.
I'd like to get a little closer before we reach out.
Main thing too is think about this and get your questions into Barb as fast as you can.
Yes, and please don't reply all. It has to be done in an
Yeah,
open
just
meeting.
individual.
So Dave or Rob or Barbara, might be too early to know this, but based on the topography between Howard Street and where they would connect for Leominster and Fitchburg, I mean, we talking 1, 2, 3 pump stations? Just thinking about maintenance.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I believe, just in trying to visualize it, I think we're talking multiple pump stations, 2, 3. And, depending on, unless they come up with some creative way to get to the end point that I haven't kind of considered, it may even then require additional upgrades beyond that to our system, because everywhere they can connect, it's basically the starting point of sewer. So you have an 8-inch sewer, probably, I'm assuming, at every connection point. So as you go down the line, they may find that we're under capacity. And so it may require, as well as pump stations, infrastructure upgrades. But one of the comments, and Barb and I actually talked about this real quickly, and I think, Barb, you recommended it, was seeking a financial contribution outside of, user fees, beyond the fact to maintain the additional, whether it's pump stations or other infrastructure, ask for that. Again, you can ask for whatever you want, but in the big picture, I think, do we really want, without assuming we ask for and receive the ability for abutters and neighbors along this proposed sewer to be able to connect, to some degree, I think, the developer should be kicking in for the operation and maintenance of the new pump stations, however many it may be. And that was Barb's thought, and I concur. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that, because as Barb also pointed out, that section of town was not earmarked as a priority area in the comprehensive wastewater plan. So we're kind of shoehorning it in, and it's not something we need or really want out there. So, why should we be on the hook to operate and maintain it? So that's something to think about. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of potentially having to upgrade the existing lines by adding this development to it, but that's a good point, Rob.
Well, the same thing, if you look at the drawings that Barbara sent us, you got 3 buildings. And I'm sure the billing on all this is going to be done some way, somehow. I'm sure you're not going to bill each individual apartment. So that's something that you would put that fee you're talking about, I would put it on that part of it. So someone's gonna have to pay for it. They must have an association or something afterward, because again, these are rentals, not units for sale. So it's almost should be like our policy over at Whalen. I mean,
Right.
it's almost the same thing. So
So maybe a flow meter coming out of the complex that would be used to determine the,
Yeah,
what the flow is.
I mean, I would think it's possible, something like that. Rob, what do you think? You're an engineer.
Yeah, I mean, no different than how we bill our regular resident sewer based on water use. I would even suggest we do it that way. I know when we talked about Bright Farms, we talked about metering the sewer. I think in this case, since it's a residential use, you bill it based on their water.
I mean, I think the only thing that we really got to be concerned about is I don't want them to come back and say, well, how are you handling Whalen? Because it's the same thing. Or how are you handling the other one on Whalen? Or how are you handling these other projects? You know, I mean, that's where I'm thinking. I like the idea, but we have to tap that into somewhere a fee along the way.
Yeah, well, luxury apartments are done by building. And so
Yeah,
is
I
every
mean,
place.
as far as making the extra fees for us, because
Yes,
they may have, I think, don't they have a pump station on the one on Whalen Road? Is there a pump there? That's not all gravity, was it?
neither Emerald Place nor Whalum Luxury have their own pump station dedicated to it. They were all in place before.
I mean, one of my concerns, especially with this many apartments this close, would be I would want to talk to the inspectors about installing a grease trap out there. I can just see people pouring stuff down the grease in these kind of
Good
apartments.
point.
And that's so far away. And so, I mean, I still think all these developments should have a grease trap of some sort.
Well, that's one big grease trap, Dave.
You got 3 buildings. So,
Right.
There's a technical difficulty to that, Dave, because you can't separate all the kitchen waste from domestic waste, and that's what you do in a restaurant. You separate it out, and that only the kitchen waste goes through the grease trap, not the bathrooms. Or so a grease trap essentially in this case would become a giant septic tank, which doesn't work. So that's why you typically don't use grease traps on a development like this.
too bad.
Good thought, though. I like it.
Yeah, well, let's expand it. We can go nationwide with this. Okay, any other questions on the 40B? Because Rob's gonna go.
Nope.
Nope, all good.
Okay. Rob, while you're here, I want you to read on 384 Mass Ave.
Yeah, so Mr. Esposito submitted an as-built for that. I'm fine with it. So what I haven't done yet is I need to send it off to Mass DOT. They had wanted it when it came in. So if you're fine with it, I'm fine with it. I'll send it off to them and kind of finish up on that. The point that still remains is that it does indeed show the sewer service from 384 crossing onto the property at I don't have the address on that one. I think was it 3. Okay. So again, there's no easement, and even if there was, we don't allow them. So I think that's something the commission still has to approach somehow. And I don't know what you do or recommend, but for me, at a minimum, based on, past discussions from when Jack was still here and how it was left and the reason the contractor put it in, make him provide an easement, from one property to the other. I just don't know where you go from here.
Is it the same owner of the property right now?
Yeah. At this time,
So, I mean, I think the first thing I would do is just have them put it on the deed that the sewer goes through that property. Make a legal record of it anyways. What do you guys think, Mike? John, you're all free.
It's a tough one.
I think we should address the easement issue, but that's not a fight for today. We're talking about one pipe that's on the same owner's property. But if you ever split it in the future, it could be an issue. I think that's what we want to protect ourselves with, Bob, don't you think? So, I mean, if you put it in the deed that sewer was installed from point A to point B, the owners know about it.
and
Well-
I might bring it to council too.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that because the properties are owned by the same individual, but
They're different entities.
right. So
We're
Yeah.
gonna address it, we just haven't addressed it yet. That's the.
Right.
And the
So
other,
in the short run, Barbara, I think probably taking the council might be a good idea.
well, the other thing is have them rip it up and redo it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another argument. I think if you bring it to council, see what she says. But, you know, it's a unique case with the same owner.
Yeah, but I think to Rob's question, is it okay for him to go ahead and send this to DEP?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it is what it is. I mean.
Yeah.
Unless Rob, you want to change the pipes. I mean,
No, nope.
it's what it is. You know.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, I know we're following DEP regulations, but, you know, we're just not following our own with the easement, which I still think we gotta sit down and talk about that anyways, but that's another.
Well, it's, you know, we've talked about putting that on the agenda sometime in the future. So.
Yeah, and we'll do that this summer. Let's try to get that on the agenda. So yeah, Rob, I would say give it to DEP. Do you want to vote for that?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Anything else on that? Next one is the AP. I can't read that, Bob.
ARPA
The,
funds.
So this is the money from the federal government. I believe we have, I want to say it's just north of $600,000. It's available to the town for infrastructure type projects, community projects that are good for the common good. It can be used on several different things. So on the sewer side of things, we sat down with the town manager, with some of the department heads that this would impact. Some of my suggestions included upgrades to the sewer system, whether it's rehabbing pump stations, or if that's, you know, too much of a chunk of what we'll be getting in the end, which is actually double that. So we're somewhere in the range of 1.2 million in the end. Can it fund additional feasibility studies or analyses of the pump stations to see exactly what each one needs, and then, you know, start doing that work with then some of the money. So that's my initial recommendation for sewer. I don't have, I mean, we can, if you have other thoughts, other types of projects you've been thinking of. I know we still have I&I stuff out there beyond what I'm trying to currently get done. So we can use it for that as well. So any thoughts, or, you know, if you want to think about it and you have some things you come up with, feel free to send those to me or Barb. But that's what was discussed. And there's timelines. I don't know what they are exactly, but we have a timeline to basically allocate the funds to projects with rough approximate costs. And then there's another timeline to use it. And then I forget when it is, but there's another round of 600,000 plus coming in, I think in the next year or two. So there'll be more available. So any input would be welcomed if you have any.
Now, this
Well,
isn't all for sewer, is that correct?
What's that?
This isn't all for sewer either, is it?
No, it's for the town as a whole. So we'll get, it's going to depend on the projects. And it, you know, so we have to kind of be reasonable with what we ask for, and, you know, what part, how much, you know, do we want out of it? That's why I kind of raised the question, can we also use it for engineering or consultants? Because I think it was 2000, I don't remember when the study was done on the pump stations or the needs of the pump stations were looked at, but I'm sure that's changed. So whether it's an update or a whole new look at the pump stations, I mean, that's not going to be inexpensive. So, you know, it's certainly something we should think about.
Well, one of the questions I got is, can we get input from our maintenance contractors? Can Al give you an update? And
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the idea of spending the money on our bread and butter, which would be the pump stations. I
Yep.
mean, they need to be upgraded. I mean, forgetting everything else between sewer covers or whatever, I think an opportunity like this to upgrade $1 million pump station is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think the I&I and pump stations would be the two areas that I think we should focus on for that kind of money.
Well, I know we're addressing I&I now, but pump stations really was not part of our initial funding. So if we get 150,000 or whatever out of this for the pump stations, I would say take that now and wait for the next round to go back for I&I. But we still got to sit down with Lemonster and talk about I&I and grants. Now, if they pass that bill, that they're looking at the infrastructure, that's going to open up another avenue of monies and grants, which is what we should be taking advantage of this stuff. There's a lot of money going out there. They still haven't spent the money from before, but there's a lot of money coming up if this is approved. And right now, it looks pretty good that they're going to approve the infrastructure bill.
I thought the new infrastructure bill was for things like daycare and unrelated to traditional physical infrastructure.
Not that I know, but okay. Anyways, I like that.
We can upgrade the internet.
Yeah, I know. And Bob can get a new chair for the office. And maybe we can get her a real computer instead of a laptop. What do you think? All right. Any more questions? So Rob, I think we're all concurrent. Let's look at the pump stations first, and then I, unless something comes out to you in I, which we know it's Whalen. You might as well put a big cross mark on Whalen. That's what we're concentrating on. So, okay, how about 419 Whalen Road?
Not much of an update. We have been working with Adam Burney of the Planning Board and Council. I'm still waiting a bit for our council's input. But meanwhile, the buyer's realtor has gone to an attorney because I got a call from Unitil, which is one of the abutters to that Prosperity Way, and sent him the deed information. So I know that there is work going on behind the scenes. The planning board was not a great option because it would require the A&R process and also the open space that Emerald Place committed to. So we're going to go around and try to get all the owners of that paper road, basically, if they agree. That was one of council's suggestions. So we're working towards that. I'll keep you informed.
I'm surprised. Unitil's part of that butter.
Yeah, they're at the right end of that road.
Yeah, they own
But
a
it
big
was-
chunk
it
of
was-
that.
Hmm?
They own a very large chunk right there.
No.
And wasn't it a big piece?
Behind it, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, surprised.
It's not that wide of a piece. Anyway, that's where we're at.
The question I got is, guys, do we want to keep this on the agenda every week or just wait for an update from Barb? Mike, your thoughts?
Say, just wait for an update. Why discuss it if we don't have an update, right?
Yeah,
Sounds like
John,
it's gonna be a little while.
Right. I mean, Barbara will be on top of it. She'll know when to add it.
Right, yeah.
so
Problem is you never know when the update's coming in, so, and I don't know what we do. I don't think if it all ownership, granting, I don't see that the commission necessarily may have to vote to approve. And it was just there in case we had a,
Yeah, no, I don't think we all fully understand what's going on with it, but I mean, I'll leave it up to you, but I would say.
Yeah,
keep it up and,
okay, I'll just keep you informed.
keep us informed.
Okay,
Next one is the minutes for 7/27. I'm looking for approval, a motion to approve the minutes. And Mike, I don't think you're at that meeting.
Nope, I wasn't there, so.
So John,
And I have to confess, I haven't read them yet. So
so we're gonna put that on the next meeting, Barb.
okay.
Jane, I did read them, very nice job. Okay, next subject is where I asked to put this on the agenda. I just found out 10 minutes ago, Worcester, I guess starting tomorrow, is mandating masks at the town offices and what do they call them? Yeah, the town office, their municipality buildings. And I know it's clicking. I know the counts are going up. So the question I have is, how do you guys feel about still having live meetings on the last Tuesday of the month? And I got a feeling the mandate there is also going to be wearing masks at the town meeting. I'd be kind of surprised if they don't. And if you look at the maps, a lot of the communities around us are turning red. Now, if you got your vaccination, and I hope everyone at home gets vaccinated, you really don't have anything to worry about. But if you're not vaccinated and you give it to someone who is vaccinated, from what I understand, you can still carry that to somebody else. So, you know, I mean, I think we're gonna have to start wearing masks. So I'll leave it out there. And Barb, maybe you can check with Heather about this. But I guess the next question is, how do you guys feel about having the next meeting at the town hall?
Well, I don't think I have a problem with that, but if we're gonna if we're gonna be required to wear masks, I would almost say we might as well do Zoom.
So should we, right now, keep it on the agenda for town hall?
I'd say keep it on the agenda, but if they're gonna make us wear masks, then I agree with John. I mean, we might as well Zoom. It's-
I'll be honest with you, my biggest concern is Jane and Barb. Barb, how do you guys feel about it?
Well, I think it's a pretty big open space there and usually not a lot of people. I mean, it's like, it's not like in a confined space.
But
That's my input, I guess.
Jane, how do you feel about going to the town hall?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're on mute.
I have no problem because it is a big building, but I think that if you got to do a mask for a meeting that's being held, that people aren't gonna be able to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Including me.
Yeah, really.
Barb, how do you feel?
Same thing. I think if we have to be masked, and it's not necessarily, it's, you know, people up on the days that's sitting next to each other. If you're not, even if you're vaccinated, they're saying we can pass it along to somebody. So I don't know. I think if you have to wear masks, I think it's clearer and more concise if we're remote.
Okay, but we do, my concern is for people to have the ability to read lips at this meeting. Now, if PAC TV has the equipment that we talked about, hopefully that would work. So I would say, let's go with it and test it and see how that works. But if you have a hard of hearing and you read lips, it's going to be kind of tough. And I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable about doing anything like that. So
How about Rob's input?
I'm just going to go next.
Okay.
You know, honestly, I'm fine whatever the commission decides. I just will throw out there from my own experience, we have a family that we're friends with who were all vaccinated and they all recently contracted and were very sick with like heavy flu symptoms. So you can still get if you're vaccinated. So I'm vaccinated. I'll meet in person. I have no problem with that, but I know others do. And I think the mask point is valid. If we have to wear masks, it just does not make for a good live meeting. So I'd prefer, if that's the case, to do it on Zoom.
So why don't we keep it the way we are now? We'll have it scheduled for the 31st and our regular meeting, 6 o'clock at the town hall. Fair enough. And if something changes, we can always change it. Like I say, we've been monitoring what's going on. That's all.
That's gonna go to him and get,
Okay. Business manager report.
I don't know how soon Rob's gonna leave. Well, grease trap letters for the annual renewals were sent out. I've already gotten quite a few people either coming in or emailing them back. Since there is no fee there, I've said that was fine. We've received several also thank yous to the commission for the waiving of the annual fee this year. It was much appreciated. The second one, that one was flows. I know you were concerned because we had such a bit of rain in the last month or so. And we had the readings done through July 25th with flow assessment. And they were not out of whack. You know, it was slightly higher, but it wasn't like double the capacity or anything.
How come?
Rob has the answer to that.
The answer to that is I don't think we saw as much I as we would. And I think that's because of the time of year where the groundwater elevation is already low to start. So you in essence have more room to bring groundwater elevation up. So that's my theory and I'm sticking to it.
You know, Rob, you told me that and I looked at you like, wow, but congratulations, you're right. I thought for sure it'd be like triple the amount.
No, you know, I have water problems here where I live. Well, hopefully not now with the new house, but based on the amount of rain we have, I would have expected to see the town ditch next to my house flowing more than it has been. But it hasn't. And I just assume it's because the groundwater
Mhm.
just isn't there right now.
Very good. Okay, Barb.
Okay. Maintenance report, I guess the question is just, we have discussed it, but Rob wasn't here at the last meeting. And Dave, it was your intent that he would do it at the televised meeting, which may or may not be by the end of the month. And it's there to confirm that we're going to keep it to the last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, we'll keep it to the last Tuesday, either Zoom or in person. I think if we have a regular update, even if it's only a 2-minute update, we set up a schedule for people who wants to monitor what's going on.
I can give you an update on some of the things we've done. We had gone out and jetted and cameraed on Mass Ave in the area of the bend where had been suspected in the past there may have been some sort of break in the line because there had sand at one point had been seen. So we didn't find that, but what we did find was downstream of Riley Way, which is Stone Farm, the townhouses out there. We actually found quite a bit of grease buildup. And at one point we found somewhat of a blockage that I think had been left unchecked would have eventually led to a backup. So they haven't been back. We had clean basins out there to jet, camera, and try and get that blockage. They're actually scheduled to come back. Well, they're not scheduled. We're waiting. They're trying to get a special tool for when they jet it that will clean the entire pipe with I'll call it a spinning whirligig. So we're waiting to get back on that. I mean, there's not a huge urgency. It's just something I want to get done. So there has been some work done, and as a result, we have found a couple of minor issues. So that's just a quick report on maintenance. Moving through the other stuff, Elizabeth Street, I still have this contractor. I've got a proposal with him that I've signed and sent back. Just waiting on him till he has a couple of free days to take care of a small job. Then Hollis Road, Kimball Street extension. I did meet with the engineer out on site. We went down and looked at it. One of the things we had talked about was talking to the Board of Health about if they knew or aware of failures and need for sewer on Hollis versus Kimball. I did quickly meet with Jim Gareffi, and he basically, there was no real preference. He wasn't aware of any abnormal amount of failures on either road, but just felt that if, similar to the way I feel, if the more houses we can get sewer in front of, the better. And so he was fine with going down Kimball. And that was that bit.
I got a question going back to the grease you found over at Stone Farm.
Yep.
Is that run by a management company, an association?
Yeah, that's something I'm going to look into. I'd like to send a notice to them about, fats, oils, and greases and putting them down the drain. And there's all kinds of literature and pamphlets and stuff available for that. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm assuming there's some sort of condo association or homeowners association that, maybe we can send it to them. I don't want to send out a bunch of different ones unless Barb tells me it would be an easy task to get that flyer into their bills, but I don't imagine that it is, but I was going to talk to her about that. If not, if sending it to the association and maybe having them post it somewhere or making it available to those residents, because where the blockage in the grease was, there's really very few houses on that line other than Riley. So that's where we suspect it's coming from.
Yeah, that's interesting because they all have E1 units.
Right.
And, grease and E1 units aren't supposed to be all that compatible.
Well, the grinder pumps will pass it. So if you've got, 10% of your homeowners down there doing it, the end result is it gets into our system. So we have to, that was my plan, Dave, was to kind of try and notify them and seek their assistance and not dumping grease down the drain if they're doing it. I guess I can't accuse them because I don't know for certain, but that appears to be the way it is.
I mean, before we, I mean, I like to do that, put them on notice that, you know, if this is a problem, it could be expensive, not only for the town, but for them too.
Well, it's expensive for us to ream it out. I'll say that.
No, I know, but like I said, I agree with John. When we sat down with the people from E1, it was supposed to be eliminated, but it all ends up somewhere, John, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which I'll find out, you'll find out when you start throwing your grease down your E1 in your new house, you know?
Yeah.
Let us know how that works out.
I just throw it in the stream next to the house.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God, don't say that, John. All right, folks, I do have to run, so thank you,
We're all
and
done.
we'll talk soon.
Rob,
All right, thanks,
any
Rob.
public comment from you for anything? You're all set? All
Nope, I'm good for tonight.
right, thank you very much for everything you do.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, Rob.
Okay, next one would be members' requests for future meetings or council hours. John, did you and I talk about you going to council?
Yeah, but what was it for?
I forgot what it was for. Oh, I think it was for the 40B.
No, I talked to Barbara about whatever it was. It'll come to me. She said it already had been done, but it already had been discussed, but
Okay.
it'll come to me.
Rob, you know what we're talking
I don't remember it either. Sorry.
about? Jane, make sure you got that none of us know what we're talking about.
At least 3 of us don't know what we're talking about, right?
But make sure we do it, though. That's all I got to tell you. Okay, any public comment from the public? I see none here, Bob.
No, no. And did anybody else have did Mike have any public comment? Or anything?
Any public comment from the board?
No, all good.
Public comment I got is, I don't know when this is going to be televised. Usually we're 24 hours after the meeting. But there is a pancake breakfast tomorrow morning from the Lions Club. So if we are getting on tonight, I hope to see some of you people there. For $2, a great breakfast, and show your support for the senior center and the Lions. Our upcoming meeting schedule, like we just talked about, is August 31st. We'll be at the regular meeting place at the town hall at 6 p.m. Next one after that will be, wow, September 14th. It seems like a long way away. And that will be at 6 p.m., a regular meeting, and it'll be done by Zoom. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
A motion?
Motion,
I'll second that.
discussion, all in favor, roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye. I wanted to keep you in suspense, Dave.
just say, see, you get that suspense. What are you guys thinking? I might say no. And I, for myself, Barb, any last comments from you?
That's all. I'm gonna be focused on billing. Gotta heads down and just ignore
Okay.
everything else. So there
That's
you
a
go, guys.
notice for me not to come and visit, right, Barbara?
Just be aware.
Any word from the town about the assistant? Have we got anybody online yet? I should know.
No, 1 week Rob was on vacation and the next week Julie was. We haven't had any more applicants for whom we want to do an interview. So it's still out there.
Jane, do you have anything? You can just nod your head if you like. No, okay. Guys, I want to thank you very much. Good night, Lunenburg, and take care.
All right.
Good night,
thanks.
Lunenburg.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.